Good afternoon, all you fabulous people. I wanted to do something a little different. Had some free time, and I wanted to go through Command and Conquer alternatives for kind of like balling on a budget or just trying to get rid of Command and Conquers. If you're at the armory level, or if you're not going to these higher tier events, you don't really. I mean, to win, having Command and Conquers is always nice, but there's some budget alternatives out here that I think most people can get away with and not have to spend nearly $300 for a playset of this card and run some of these instead. Command and Conquer does a lot of good things great that it's just hard to replace. It's a 2 cost, it's a 6 attack, and it's a 3 defense. There's very few cards that meet all 3 of those stats combined, as well as it's an arsenal disruption, and it nullifies defense reactions played against it. So it basically requires a 2 card block or forces equipment. So I just wanted to go through some alternatives, mainly on the arsenal disruption side, but as well as just a 6 power with a good on-hit effect. As alternatives to this, probably the most expensive or the largest barrier for entry for new players in the game currently, since Crown of Providence and Fyendal Spring Tunic has gone down after the reprints to sub $100. Yes, they're still really expensive, but you only need one of those for all of your decks, whereas Command and Conquer you need 270 essentially for a full playset. First, I wanted to start off with per class, some of these alternatives we have. The first one is Sin Packing. Yes, it costs 1 more than Command and Conquer, but it's a 6 power, 3 block, and it basically removes the arsenal to determine if it hits or doesn't hit. If it doesn't hit, it goes back into your hand, which is kind of a weird interaction, can disrupt some stuff there too, but it forces your opponent to have a 4-card hand, and you can get a whole playset of these for half the price of one Command and Conquer. I think this card is great from heavy hitters. I did like the direction they went in heavy hitters, with some more arsenal disruption. Same thing with like Outsiders last year, had a few options too. And we'll get to those later. But Sin Packing for $45 for a playset, I think is, if you're playing Brute, I think you go ahead and get 3 of these and run these instead of Command and Conquers, or additionally to Command and Conquers if you have the money, kind of thing. Commanding Performance, similarly from heavy hitters, is a 1 cost. This card is a little worse than Sin Packing, but it still requires some more thought around play. This card is more of a threat than it is just a disruption. It's a +3, it defends 3, and your next warrior attack gets +3. Until the end of the turn, your warrior attacks get, when this is defended by 1 or more attack actions. Keywords there is attack action cards. Destroy a card in the defending arsenals. So this, I think you have to pair it with something, basically like in Kasai, you threaten a gold or copper on hits, or Dorinthia, you threaten Dawnblade counters, Olympia threatening threatening gold or other tokens on top of this, but this either ensures that you get that token, or they give up their arsenal and probably some cards from hand as well to prevent that other on hit. I think this card is more of a sideboard for Warrior, but it can be used in place of Command and Conquer. I think in a lot of the matchups in the area, or in the current meta, attack action cards are very prevalent. So I think this card is pretty darn good, and for basically the price of 1 Sin Packing, you can get a playset of these. I think this is a strong consideration, and it can replace CNC. I think in a lot of decks, warriors don't typically really want to run, or don't have to run CNC, because CNC is basically the only attack action in the decks normally, or very few, one of two. But commanding performance is pretty darn good. I think Leave No Witnesses speaks for itself. I think it's an auto-include in all Assassins currently. It's just so good. It's a 0 for 4, blocks 3, and when it hits, it banishes the top card of their deck and up to 1 card in their arsenal. This is a great card because it's a 4 breakpoint off a 0 cost. It's a great chain ender, as well as it's a great free card to buff to get additional on hits, or like Spike with Blood Rot, that kind of stuff. But the 4 breakpoint basically enforces a 2-card block, or equipment in a block card, or something like that, to not lose their arsenal. I think this is probably the best assassin, if not the best assassin card in the game. War Machine is for Mechanologist. This one's a little bit more niche. It's a 6 power 3 block, I believe, and costs 2. It costs 6. That's right. Sorry, the TCG player not image is throwing me off. But this card is more based off of Evos. This is great for Teklevossen, but I think Dash.io and Max are running the adaptive plating and doing 1 or 2 Evos on the arms and legs, I believe, on the Evo towers and controllers. So to get more use out of these Evo upgrade cards. But this is, if you have 1 or more Evos equipped, this gets, when this hits a hero, destroy all cards in their arsenal. So it's a 6 cost, so that's pretty darn expensive. The real way you get the money back is if you have 2 Evos equipped, it becomes 3. So then I think it becomes on rate and good. For Teklevossen, I think you once you get the overpower and the +3 power, this card just becomes nuts. I think this is mainly because this card's so cheap, because Mechanologist really isn't doing that well after the heavy hitters meta. They could see a resurgence. I do think this card's too cheap at $2.50. And I think as long as you're running Evos, this is pretty much an auto-include in your deck. Maybe not a full 3, but probably at least a 1, or if not 2. Ranger has a couple options. I think the best one here is Remorseless. 1 for 5 attack, 3 defense. If Remorseless is put in Arsenal face up until the end of the turn, defense reactions can't be played from Arsenal to Remorseless chain link. So it mainly stops the defense reactions, but this is really good in Azalea when you pump it up, and then the other half of the card, the on hit, is just nasty, losing a card per action that they do on their turn. Can really stump a lot of heroes and really burn through some health. I mean, look at Fi. Fi could lose 4 health on top of taking whatever he took for Remorseless. But this card's pretty darn good. I think this is mainly being played in Azalea, but if you buff this card, it just becomes crazy. Seek and Destroy is another good buff card for Ranger. Your next arrow hits. It's not as good as some of these other Arsenal disruptions, but if it hits a hero at the beginning of their next end phase, they discard all the cards in their hand and destroy all the cards in the arsenal. This is namely more like an inertia token. The opponent gets to play their whole turn, but if they were trying to park something up and set up like a combo turn, all of a sudden their arsenal is at threat, so they have to either use it or lose it for the next turn if this hits. I think this is probably the worst out of the other sets of cards here. And last but certainly not least, I think this, if you're a new player and looking for a CNC alternative, Wreck Havoc is probably the closest thing you can get to just a CNC without being CNC. It's a 2 cost, 6 attack, 2 block, so it's 1 less block than CNC. Defense reactions can't be played to Wreck Havoc's Chain Link, so that's very similar to CNC. And when this hits a hero, you may turn a card in their arsenal face up, then destroy a defense reaction in their arsenal. So it doesn't destroy the arsenal unless it's a defense reaction. So it's not nearly as good. Hopefully they parked a defense reaction in. This becomes basically CNC in general. For 10 cents a copy, I think this is a great pickup and a great CNC just swap out alternative for newer players and players even that aren't going to big tournament events and don't really need to spend the nearly $300 price tag of Command & Conquer playset. Pick up some of these, just throw them in all your decks and call it a day. That's kind of the end of the Arsenal Disruption alternatives. There are some more alternatives that are 6 powers and have some pretty cool effects. Canav Contraband, I think this one's my favorite one. 2 cost, 6 attack, and 2 defense again. If Canav Contraband hits, you may put a non-attack action card from your graveyard on top of your deck. This card can be really good and has seen quite a bit of play in a lot of heroes. Brute is getting put in. It's a 6 attack for your discards. If it hits, you get a Blood Rush Bellow back, which is great because a lot of your games are based off of how well you can do on your Blood Rush Bellow turns. This can be great for Dromai. It's being used in bringing back dragons. Bolton, I've seen it to bring back like Luminas. Whatever your big power non-attack cards, I think this could really help you. 6 cents a copy is a steal for this card. The only really downside to it is a 2 block, but running a set of these over $300 I think is worth an alternative, or at least a look around. Humble, same thing, 2 power, 6 attack, 2 block. When this hits a hero, they lose all abilities, and that hero loses all abilities until the end of their next turn. So this can really shut down things like Bolton or Dromai or those things that kind of rely on their hero ability for their game plan. Really good card. If their hero ability really helps them get out some damage or resources or whatever kind of abuse, Humble is a really good option. It's also still a popper. Humble, I think for 25 cents is also a steal. Any of these are under $1. I think you just get a play set of these and don't really look back, and you kind of swap these out where some of these net decks say put in Command & Conquer. Amnesia is one of the worst of the effects, but it's a 2 power, 6 attack, 3 block. When this hits a hero, cards and tokens they own lose and can't gain names until the start of your turn. So this can shut down things like Katsu or maybe even some of the token stuff. But it is a 3 block. That's kind of its help or better stat here. $3 from Outsiders. Once again, under $10 you can place that. I think that you if you're looking more for the defensive route of the Command & Conquer, go ahead and go with these. And last but certainly not least, Down and Dirty. This card is a 2 power, 6 attack again, 2 block, but while Down and Dirty is in your arsenal, you may defend with it. So this card also kind of pseudo shuts down CNC a little bit, but namely this is being used for anti-illusionist or illusionist hate. You park this in your arsenal and then you defend with it to pop their Phantasm attack, kind of as a sneak attack. Really good card. I think if we get another illusionist buff, we probably see this card go back up. I don't think it's quite worth the $14 price tag it's got here, but it's still way cheaper than Command & Conquer. This also can help you get around some awkward blocks. An additional 2 block in your arsenal can really help you out. That's kind of the end of the video for today. Leave a comment on your thoughts, or if I missed any alternatives for CNC, let me know. Happy to discuss it. Everybody have a great day. Goodbye.